Have you ever dreamed of speaking English without thinking? Have you imagined yourself talking in English, but the words just come out like magic? No pauses, no stress, just smooth and beautiful English? What if I told you there is a secret, one so simple but so powerful, that it can make this dream come true? Before I share this secret, let me take you to a small, quiet town. A boy named Arun lived there. He wasn't rich, he wasn't a genius, but he had one big dream: he wanted to speak English. Why? Because he believed English could open doors to the world. He saw people on TV talking confidently in English, and he thought, will I ever be like them? One day, something magical happened. His uncle came to visit from a big city. His uncle was like a superstar in the family, charming, confident, and fluent in English. Arun's eyes sparkled when he saw him speak. Everyone listened with respect. Arun thought, this is what I want to be. So, Arun asked his uncle, how do you speak English so well? His uncle smiled and said, I don't just speak English. I think in English. Arun was confused. Think in English? What does that even mean? He didn't understand then, but it was the beginning of something amazing. Now, I want to ask you, do you know what it means to think in English? Most people think they need perfect grammar, a dictionary, or big words to speak English fluently. But no, the secret is simpler. It starts inside your mind. Think about it before you speak any language. Where do the words come from? They come from your thoughts. If you think in your native language and try to translate every word, your brain gets tired. It's slow and it feels heavy. But if you think directly in English, the words flow like a river. No stopping, no blocking. Arun didn't know this at first, but he was ready to learn. One day he tried a little game. When he looked at his dog, he said to himself in English, my dog is happy. When he went to school, he thought, I am walking to school. These were small sentences, simple words, but they were in English. And slowly, something incredible happened. Do you want to know what it was? His mind started to switch. The voice in his head wasn't speaking in his native language anymore. It was speaking in English. Arun felt like he had a secret superpower. He didn't need to translate words. English became his friend, not a stranger. And here's the exciting part: you can do this too. Imagine waking up in the morning. Instead of saying in your mind, what should I eat today in your language, you say, what will I have for breakfast in English? When you see the sun, think, it's a sunny day. When you're walking, think, I'm walking to the park. These small thoughts are the seeds of big change. But let me tell you, Aaron's journey wasn't always easy. There were days he felt shy. When he tried speaking, people laughed at his mistakes. It hurt, but he didn't stop. He thought, mistakes are not failures, they are my teachers. And every mistake made him stronger. One day, at a school event, Aaron was asked to speak in English. His hands were shaking, his heart was racing, but he remembered his uncle's advice. Don't think of people, think of your thoughts. So he started. The words came out, one after another, and when he finished, there was silence. Then, applause. Big, loud applause. Aaron smiled. He had done it. Now, close your eyes for a moment. Imagine yourself speaking English like Aaron. How does it feel? Wonderful, right? But how do you start? Here's your first step. Talk to yourself in English. Yes, it might feel silly, but it's powerful. When you wake up, say, "Good morning." Self, when you brush your teeth, think, "I am brushing my teeth." Talk about everything you see, even if it's simple. Second, listen like a baby. Babies don't start with grammar books. They listen to their parents, their surroundings, and the sounds of the world. Listen to English songs, watch English movies, or follow English YouTube channels. Don't worry about understanding every word. Just let your ears soak in the language. Third, be fearless. Speak even if you make mistakes. Remember, every great speaker was once a beginner. And finally, fall in love with English. Make it a part of your life. Treat it like a friend, not a subject. Play games, sing songs, and enjoy the journey. Let me end with a thought that will stay with you. Every language is a door. English is one of the doors to the world. Open it, and you'll find endless possibilities. When Aaron decided to think in English, he didn't realize how it would change his life forever. At first, it felt strange. His mind was used to his native language, so thinking in English felt like trying to walk on a tightrope. But Aaron had a little trick. He made English fun. Do you know what he did? He started to name everything around him in English. When he saw his bed, he would say, "This is my bed." When he saw a tree, he would think, "That tree is tall." Every small object became part of his practice. It was like turning his world into a classroom, but it didn't feel like studying. It felt like a game. Let me ask you this: do you love games? Games are fun because they challenge us, but they also reward us. Aaron created his own reward system. If he thought 10 sentences in English during the day, he gave himself a treat: a cookie, a short video, or even a little break to relax. These small rewards kept him excited. What about you? Would you try this game? And then something amazing happened. Arun's little sister noticed his efforts. She was only 6 years old, but she wanted to copy him. She began asking, "What is this in English?" Arun laughed and said, "This is a chair soon." They both started playing a game called "What is it in English?" They named things, made sentences, and even acted out short conversations. Here's the beautiful thing about learning: when you share it, it grows. Arun's sister started learning faster because of his help, and Arun's confidence grew because he was teaching. Have you ever thought about teaching someone else what you know? Teaching is one of the best ways to learn. Even if you know just a few words in English, share them with someone. Tell your friend, your sibling, or even your pet. The more you say the words out loud, the more natural they will feel. One day, Arun decided to push himself further. He joined a local English club. It was a small group of people who wanted to practice speaking English. At first, he was nervous. He thought, "What if I make mistakes? What if they laugh?" But when he arrived, he realized everyone was just like him. They were learners, not experts. The first time Arun spoke in front of the group, he said only a few sentences. They weren't perfect, but the group clapped and encouraged him. Slowly, Arun became more comfortable. He made friends, laughed at his mistakes, and even helped others. Do you know what he learned from this? That people don't judge you as much as you think. Most people are kind, and they understand how hard it is to learn something new. Arun realized that making mistakes wasn't scary, it was necessary. Every mistake brought him closer to fluency. Now, let's talk about you. Imagine yourself walking into an English club. Imagine saying your first sentence in English. Maybe your voice shakes a little, but the group smiles and claps. How does that feel? Exciting, right? Let me tell you another secret: you don't need a physical club to practice. Today, you can find people online. Join a language exchange app, a social media group, or even leave comments in English on videos or posts. The internet is full of opportunities to connect. But here's a key tip when you practice: focus on real conversations. Don't try to sound perfect. Instead, think about what you want to say. Imagine you're talking to a friend. Use simple words, simple sentences. Over time, you'll naturally grow. One day, Arun's uncle returned to visit. This time, something different happened. Arun greeted him confidently in English. They talked, laughed, and shared stories all in English. His uncle was amazed. He said, "Arun, you've grown so much. I'm proud of you." That night, Arun sat by his window, looking at the stars. He thought about his journey. It wasn't just about learning English. It was about becoming a better version of himself. He felt strong, confident, and ready for the world. And now, my friend, it's your turn. You have the same potential as Arun. It doesn't matter where you start. What matters is that you take the first step. Start small. Start today. Talk to yourself, listen to English, and most importantly, think in English. Let me leave you with one final thought. Every step you take in learning English is a step toward your dreams. Don't wait for the perfect time, because the perfect time is now. Start thinking in English and watch your life transform. So, how do you begin thinking in English if it feels too hard? Let me take you back to Arun's story. After his uncle left, Arun faced a big challenge. School exams were near, and he barely had time to practice English. He felt stuck, and that little voice in his head started doubting him. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'll never speak fluently. Have you ever felt like this? That little voice telling you to stop, that you'll never make it? But here's the thing, Arun didn't stop. He remembered his uncle's advice: if you want to think in English, you have to surround yourself with it. So, even during his busy days, Arun made English part of his life in small, creative ways. When he walked to school, he whispered sentences in English. Instead of thinking, the weather is nice in his language, he thought, it's a beautiful day. When he wrote notes for himself, he wrote them in English. These were small changes, but they were powerful. Let me tell you a little secret. The brain is like a sponge. It absorbs whatever you give it. If you fill your day with even tiny bits of English, your brain will start to get used to it. It's not about studying harder, it's about living with the language. Now, here's an exciting exercise for you. Are you ready? Think about your favorite hobby. Maybe you love cooking, playing a sport, or even drawing. Now, start connecting English to that hobby. For example, if you love cooking, watch recipes in English. Say the steps out loud in English first. I chop the onions. Then I fry them. When Arun tried this with his hobby playing cricket, he started saying things like, I need a bat. I will hit the ball. At first, it felt silly, but then he noticed something incredible. He wasn't just practicing English, he was having fun. And here's another idea: use sticky notes. Arun wrote English words on sticky notes and put them around the house. On his mirror, he wrote, You look great today. On his door, he wrote, Open the door. Every time he saw a note, he smiled and read it aloud. Slowly, these small actions added up. But do you know what made the biggest difference? It wasn't just about thinking in English. It was about feeling the language. One day, Arun decided to listen to English songs. At first, he didn't understand the lyrics, but he loved the music. He started humming along, guessing the words, and enjoying the rhythm. Music became his new teacher. He realized that even if he didn't understand every word, he was training his ears. And guess what? After a few weeks, he started catching familiar words and phrases. Songs like "Don't Stop Believing" became his personal mantra. What about you? Do you love music? If you do, start with songs you enjoy. Don't worry about understanding everything. Let the music flow into your mind. Over time, you'll notice how much you've learned without even trying. But Arun didn't stop there. He wanted to challenge himself more. So, he started watching short videos in English. At first, he used subtitles in his native language. But soon, he switched to English subtitles. And then, one day, he watched without any subtitles. It wasn't perfect, but he felt proud. Now, imagine yourself doing this. Picture yourself understanding an entire movie in English. Feels exciting, right? Let me tell you something beautiful about the journey of learning. It's not about how fast you go, it's about enjoying the process. Arun learned this when he made a new friend online. Her name was Maria, and she was from Spain. They didn't speak the same native language, so they had to communicate in English. At first, their conversations were simple. Maria would say, "How are you?" and Arun would reply, "I am good." And you? But over time, their chats became longer and deeper. They shared stories about their cultures, their dreams, and even their struggles with English. Arun realized something magical. English wasn't just a language, it was a bridge. It connected him to people from around the world. And what about you? Have you thought about making a language partner? It's easier than you think. There are apps, websites, and communities where you can find people who want to practice English too. Just like Arun and Maria, you can learn together, support each other, and grow. One day, Arun wrote in his diary today, "I spoke English for 10 minutes without stopping. It wasn't perfect, but I did it." He looked at those words and smiled. He wasn't the same boy who was too shy to speak. He had become someone who believed in himself. And here's the most important lesson Arun learned: progress is not about being perfect. It's about being brave. Every time you think in English, every time you say a sentence, even if it's small or wrong, you're taking a step forward. Now, let's try something together. Close your eyes and imagine your future self. You're sitting in a coffee shop, talking to someone in English. The words come easily, the conversation flows and you feel confident. How does that feel? This future is possible, and it starts now. Let me leave you with one last thought. Every word you speak in English is like planting a seed. Water it with practice, sunshine it with patience, and watch it grow into a beautiful tree. If this inspired you, like this video, subscribe and share it with someone who dreams of speaking English too. Together, let's grow this beautiful tree of language and connection. Have you ever felt that sinking feeling when you're in a room full of people and you just can't find the words? You can understand everything they're saying, but when it's your turn to speak, your mind goes blank. You think to yourself, if only I could speak English fluently like them. What if I could speak without hesitation, without fear of making mistakes, but what if I told you that you could master English in just 100 days? Yes, in only 100 days, you could be speaking English like a pro. How would that feel? Imagine the confidence you'd have, the doors that would open, and the opportunities that would come your way. Now, you might be wondering, is this really possible? Can anyone really learn to speak fluently in just 100 days? Well, I have a story for you, a story that will change the way you think about learning English forever. This story begins with a young man named Sam. Sam was just like you. He dreamed of speaking English fluently, but he had always been too shy. He had tried learning English before, but nothing seemed to work. He would study grammar rules, memorize vocabulary, and read books, but when it came to speaking, he felt lost. One day, while sitting in a cafe, he overheard a conversation between two people. They were speaking English effortlessly, and the way they communicated, the flow of their words, made him feel a burning desire to speak like them. That very moment, Sam made a decision. He promised himself that he would speak English fluently in 100 days, no matter what it took. But here's the twist: Sam didn't follow the traditional methods. He didn't bury himself in books all day or get lost in grammar rules. Instead, he decided to learn through real-life experiences. He started by listening. He would watch English movies, podcasts, and videos. He didn't worry if he understood everything. He just let the language wash over him. Little by little, he began to pick up new words and phrases. But what really changed everything was when he started speaking every single day. At first, Sam was nervous. He made a lot of mistakes, but he didn't let that stop him. Every time he made a mistake, he would laugh at himself, learn from it, and keep going. One day, he was talking to a stranger at the bus stop when he realized something amazing. He wasn't just speaking English, he was thinking in English. He was no longer translating words from his native language into English. His mind had started to naturally think in English. And that, my friends, is the secret to fluency. Now, let's pause for a moment. Do you want to know the real key to Sam's success? It's not about memorizing thousands of words or worrying about every little mistake. The key is practice. Consistent, daily practice. And guess what? You can do this too. You don't need to be a genius to speak English fluently. You just need to practice, and practice the right way. Every day, for 100 days, focus on these 3 simple steps: listen, speak, and repeat. Listening is the first step. Surround yourself with English. Listen to English songs, watch English movies, and listen to podcasts. The more you expose yourself to the language, the more familiar it will become. Don't worry if you don't understand everything. The goal is to get your brain used to the rhythm, the sounds, and the flow of the language. Over time, your ear will get sharper, and you'll start picking up words and phrases naturally. Next, start speaking. Find someone to talk to, even if it's just a friend or a family member. Don't wait for the perfect moment to speak. The more you speak, the better you'll get. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. Mistakes are part of the process. Every time you speak, you're one step closer to fluency. The more you speak, the more confident you'll become. And as your confidence grows, so will your ability to speak without hesitation. The final step is repetition. This is where the magic happens. The more you repeat words and phrases, the more they'll stick in your mind. Your brain loves repetition, and it's through repetition that you start to internalize the language. Try repeating new words and phrases throughout your day. Speak them out loud, even if you're just talking to yourself. The more you repeat, the more natural it will feel. Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds great, but I'm really busy. How can I find time to practice every day well? Let me tell you something: you don't need hours of free time to practice English. In fact, you don't need to spend more than 30 minutes a day to see results. The key is consistency. Find small moments throughout your day to practice. Listen to an English podcast while you're cooking, or watch a short video while you're on the bus. Speak with your friends or family in English, even if it's just for a few minutes. These small moments add up, and before you know it, you'll be amazed at how much progress you've made. Let me share with you some of the most powerful tips that Sam used to succeed in his 100-day challenge. These tips will not only help you speak English fluently, but they'll also help you enjoy the journey. Set small goals instead of focusing on being perfect. Set small, achievable goals every day. Maybe today you'll learn 5 new words, or maybe you'll practice speaking for 10 minutes. The key is to celebrate each victory, no matter how small. Be patient with yourself. Learning a new language takes time. Don't expect overnight success. Be patient with yourself and trust the process. Progress might be slow at first, but trust me, it's happening. Surround yourself with English. The more you hear and see English, the more it becomes a part of your world. Change your phone settings to English, watch English TV shows, and read books or articles in English. The more you immerse yourself, the faster you'll learn. Practice speaking every day. Speaking is the most important part of learning a language. Find a conversation partner or speak to yourself in English. Don't worry about making mistakes. The goal is to practice and get better with each conversation. Keep a language journal. Write down new words and phrases you learn every day. This helps reinforce what you've learned and gives you a chance to review later. Use language apps. There are so many language apps that make learning fun and interactive. Apps like Duolingo, Babbel, or Memrise can be great tools to practice vocabulary and grammar. Celebrate your progress. Take time to celebrate your successes. Every time you speak a sentence in English or understand a phrase without translating, give yourself a pat on the back. These little victories add up to big progress. So, how does Sam's story end? Well, after 100 days of consistent practice, Sam was no longer the shy young man who was afraid to speak. He was confidently speaking English, connecting with people from all over the world, and opening doors to new opportunities. He had done it. He had achieved his dream of speaking English fluently in just 100 days. But the best part? The journey didn't stop there. Learning a language is a never-ending process, and Sam continued to grow, continued to speak, and continued to enjoy the adventure of learning. Now it's your turn. Imagine where you could be in 100 days if you commit to speaking English every day. Think of the opportunities that will open up for you. Think of the confidence you'll have. Think of the joy you'll feel when you realize you've reached your goal. This journey is not just about learning a language, it's about discovering your own potential. It's about breaking down barriers, opening your mind, and stepping into a new world. So, are you ready to start your 100-day challenge? The time is now. Take that first step and don't look back. Remember, every mistake is a lesson, every word you speak is progress, and every day you practice brings you closer to your goal. Speak English fluently in 100 days. Yes, you can. And the best part? The